Hello and welcome to a casual 1v1. Two very good players. Keaton versus WindKnight, who was previously a Severus Slitherer. And just some info before this game starts. I'm just gonna pause it so we can just follow a bit with along with the picking phase. So at this point, they have played each other. This is the fourth game they play against each other. So Keaton probably didn't know WindKnight the first time, but now he played him 3 times before this game, as in just before. So he know that he's good. So I wanted to pick this game because often you can. I did at least. I've been tricked 3 times actually by this player. 2 times with the Severus Slither because it took so long before I played him again, so I forgot he was good. It was a month between, and then I played WindKnight, and I got my ass handed to me once again, and because I thought it was a new player. So heads up, don't assume names you don't know is a new player. But I wanted to dive into this game because I really want to see how they played it out and if Keaton was able to push back on WindKnight after they played a few games. As we saw with the AKA versus Severus last time, very close game, but AKA actually ended up taking the win. So WindKnight in blue, Keaton in red. They're got a lot of overlapping starting positions here. And Keaton got decent. I mean, this could work, but I would probably go here. And it does. It's just more centered, so very close from the beginning. And WindKnight takes a 2 territory start right next to Keaton. Oh wait, is it? Yeah, it is selected. It's just a long countdown, I guess. Oh, what is happening? Why doesn't the thing start? Ah, there you go. Okay. So in theory, this should be an easy win for Keaton. Oh, like, he doesn't expect him clearly to start here. He doesn't even, he expected so little that he doesn't even send a scout unit here, which I completely understand. It is a tricky starting position, but he will realize now, actually. And that's probably why the game doesn't. So that's a small spoiler. It doesn't end right away. It's a longer game, but you probably already see that on the length of the video. So now Keaton realizes WindKnight is right next to him, and Keaton's issue is that he put down 2 airfields because he assumed probably that they were a bit further apart. Now WindKnight has put down a lot of producers because he started with that extra capital he gained from only putting down 2 territories. So he could have put down 4 more. Or, well, he couldn't in this in this incident, but for each territory that he doesn't use, he gains 200 extra capital. One thing I will advise against, though, when you get that extra capital, don't spam too much like this, because you end up in the red. Like you have a lot of starting capital, but you earn almost nothing. So in a minute, these producers can't produce anyways, but they will still take upkeep. So make sure you have something in the bank. Keep an eye out on this income, and maybe try to. That's my opinion, at least. Try to hold back a bit. Because even though he has, well, let's count them actually. 5, 6, 7, 8 barracks and 1 factory against 3 barracks. It will still, like in a minute, they will not produce that many units anymore. And WindKnight is at 300, Keaton at 360. WindKnight is already on top of the air potential, the potential air attack. So he got the SAMs, only SAMs reducing from the factory. So very, very clever played. But WindKnight's issue is that he cannot protect everywhere with those SAMs. So he prioritizes to protect his base, but these helis can just pick and choose from all the infantry roaming around. And WindKnight has 2 options. He has a very expensive and slow option that consists of building a lot of SAMs and having SAMs here and here and here. Or he can build an airfield, which takes a bit of time as well, but much faster. And he can quickly get some anti-air up and running. The issue is that, of course, Keaton can also use interceptors, but he can also build some SAMs. So if he only uses the helis on the front lines, it's very difficult to use interceptors against them, because then he would, let's say, he used them on this front line. He would have the SAMs here, and the interceptors, because they need that range or that like space to work within, they roam around a lot, and you don't even need to have your SAMs that close before they begin to pick up on the interceptors or shoot them down. Not pick up, but you know what I mean. See, now WindKnight is in a situation where his producers simply stop producing. He's not gaining any more SAMs from this factory. And he's losing a lot of infantry. But he did also gain a lot of infantry from that like initial burst of producers. And what maybe, so it is an opinion, and you can probably go and calculate it. That's something that Value Thor and Crypto and Romad does. So maybe we'll see that in the future. They will go and experiment and calculate how long does it take before this investment pays back. Because you got so many extra infantry to cap all the territories. So in that manner, you boost your economy in that way. It's just, it will take some time, but all eco buildings does that. Except of course the instant eco buildings in the beginning. Which I guess is what they more or less compete against. 440 for WindKnight. 510. Keaton is still ahead. Does Keaton have an extra gas? No. Yeah. Sorry, he has these. This one is very close to the front line. This one is decent. So WindKnight is actually back in the green now. So maybe I over complicated the issue of losing production time. Because it seemed like his infantry has been producing all the time. So maybe it's more if you build more expensive units, like especially shipyards or air or maybe even factories. Because I made that mistake myself a few times when I play island maps. I know navy is so important, so I plop down like maybe 4 or 5 shipyards if I really like panic and I have nothing else to spend my money on. If I'm on some tiny island, no eco, no nothing. But then you quickly realize that only 2 or 3 of your shipyards are producing. The others is just causing you upkeep. Some micro here. WindKnight trying to pick off this heli, and that will definitely succeed because Keaton is in some gas issues. And there are battles for the flanks here. WindKnight has total control over this. But this is more equal. Keaton is starting to send some helis up there. So how will the... It could look like the map will please be split diagonally right now. Diagonally. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And Keaton will have 3 cities in his area. WindKnight 1, but a bunch of towns. WindKnight with a bunch of gas. So this is fairly important. Who gets that extra amount of territory? It is also connected down here. This is looking scary for Keaton. And we got that typical Keaton commando going into your backlands. This is what I would recognize as a nickname move. Before or back in the days. But Keaton often does this, and he's very good at using his commandos efficiently. Unfortunately, there's nothing really he can snipe. What he can do is he can make a proxy base. He can get some intel whether or not WindKnight is building gas up here. Yeah, and that's exactly what he's doing. So he's going to the gases. Probably not necessarily within... Well, you could try to snipe them with a single commando. But I think it's as much just to know whether or not WindKnight is building up some huge tank or heli army. WindKnight got a crucial amount of SAMs now, but still no SAMs up here. So this is the place where Keaton can get a nice use out of his helis. WindKnight still hasn't built a single artillery. Excuse me. Got a back-carrying barracks. And he got these 3 commanding or protecting the gas and the barracks. Probably because you know that he would himself send these commandos around. So he also fear that his opponent will do it. That's a guess, at least from me. Keaton is doing okay up here. Thanks to his helis. He haven't spotted these two barracks, which are only producing commandos now. And there's definitely a plan with those commandos. They are meant to go all the way in the back. Keaton actually decides to cap this. So WindKnight will spot that. It will not be as obvious as here. I think... wow, that's impressive when I play it that much. But I'm not actually certain. I think it will just turn gray. Maybe not. That's scary. But there you go. That's like my attention to detail. So don't listen too much to me. Keaton is actually getting a good grab on this area. Starting to cap all the territories that WindKnight has capped. So WindKnight is starting to put down some barracks to defend it. He's going with the commandos down here to scout. He really has a lot of commands. Maybe this is very messy to look at. And you will notice there is a big difference on players, whether or not they clean up their lines. Some are very needy, greedy, and wants them to be perfect and very, like, as few as possible. And as soon as there's something you don't need, you delete it. Others will be more maybe like this. Totally chaotic. Because this is only WindKnight's commandos. I don't have Keaton's commands on show here. Let's see if we change over to Keaton. There's a bit more structure on these lines. Just a funny little detail to look at how players use their lines. Keaton got around here and starting to work on that barracks. Also a very typical Keaton move. As soon as he spots an opportunity for like just rushing in with the infantry, he will most likely do it. Like if he got this blob up here, instead of slowly getting closer and closer, there would be a chance that he would just pick a building and rush in, try to take it down. Still hasn't spotted these barracks, even though they're not hidden in the forest or in the mountains. Keaton puts down a barracks here, but WindKnight spots that immediately and he actually targets it. It's very uncommon to see a game like this where a top player doesn't use any energy units. This is actually looking good for Keaton. Let's look at the eco. 900 and 1000. But I still feel like it's looking good for Keaton because his just the way his units are distributed at the moment. But maybe not. Maybe this will take out Keaton in the long run. WindKnight does have more eco. And Keaton is really searching for that gas up here. WindKnight got the barracks. And once again, Keaton can use his helis on other areas of the map fairly safely. I'm surprised WindKnight doesn't even consider interceptors at this point. Keaton still doesn't know about these barracks, but he does know about this attack over here. But he doesn't know the scale of it. This is looking very scary, actually. And here, you see the Keaton move. Very well played. And some slow reactions from WindKnight might result in a hit here. But now you see that WindKnight reacts to it heavily. So, I don't know. Don't think he will get any of those barracks. WindKnight is putting down some SAMs over here. He's in a hurry. Needs a lot of SAMs to defend against all those helis. This is not working. It was a suicide mission, unfortunately. And just as I said, it was looking good for Keaton. I think it's turning. This might go down. So it will come down to who wins this part as well. Because that's a lot of ego. So if Keaton uses his helis in time, he will have a good shot at winning this battle. Now, I think everyone can agree that you would sacrifice this part and then gain all of this. Takes down an industry. There's one more down here. But now WindKnight is pushing in, and Keaton only got 4 infantry. They're entrenched, but he puts his helis to the work, and that will hurt a lot. 1060 for Keaton, 1100 for WindKnight. These helis will not do much work. They will go down very fast. They won't take out a single unit, I think. Keaton really needs to just give up on this and focus on defending this. And he does redirect some of his units. WindKnight got his SAMs over here. So Keaton will not be able to use his helis on this spot anymore. And he even got SAMs running up here as well now. Keaton seems fairly confident that he can defend this, because he's still sending units here and here. But he will lose this battle as well. And here comes the rush in. It's hard to tell. It's really going back and forth. Because Keaton is winning this, and now all of WindKnight's defensive units are more or less gone. So Keaton, if he can push on here, He's attacking, he's flanking from this side, he's flanking from this side. There are some defensive units here that will probably hold this. But it's looking dangerous for WindKnight on his main base now. Imagine, I can't keep up showing you all of this. There's so many front lines. So imagine playing it. WindKnight got a bunch of SAMs up and running now. Very quickly. So that might end up meaning that he actually wins this. And he get these barracks. And he got so many producers. So he can produce enough units to actually deflect this attack in no time. And I think it means this is going WindKnight's way now. Keaton is no longer able to really use these helis. It's getting more and more tricky, at least. And most will probably die now. Just get the barracks here. But he also lost 2 himself. We'll get this one. It seems these helis are going down. And he will lose this. So this is definitely going WindKnight's way now. And there are not many spots left on the map where Keaton can use his helis. The last one is probably here. And that's exactly why he's going. So as good as helis are, when you're in this position in the game, suddenly you have 2 airports producing helis. But you don't know what to do with them. And I wonder if he's spotted. No, he hasn't spotted WindKnight. But he probably knows that he's going down here. So he puts down another barracks. Almost no eco buildings from any of the players. So this is more of an old style matchup. Where it's a battle of getting all the territories. And taking your opponent's territories. Rather than building up a bunch of eco. Keaton does get this one barracks. But I think this attack will die out now. And I think Keaton got this intercepted just to better spot units in the forest and be able to better spot those commandos. He knows there are commandos all around the map. He's regaining some control over this area. But he's definitely losing this push. And now it's just sending the units into a wall of death. Yeah, WindKnight must be ahead now. Or quite more ahead. 1170 and 1250. So I think it's about the same. This will hurt Keaton. WindKnight will start to cap all of these and it will be very tricky for Keaton to do anything about it. Let's see what Keaton can see. So he knows there's a proxy here. He knows the main base here. That's actually it. He does know that WindKnight is all the way down here now, though. And WindKnight, you can see this barracks. You can see this proxy base. You can see this. And he knows that Keaton is making a move here. So he's gathering up a small army and actually sending his SAMs over. And it's very nice micro on such a large scale fight here. Targets this barracks, and I think this is definitely turning in WindKnight's favor. But this is a spot where Keaton can use his helis, with the only issue being these that these are commandos, so the helis will have a tough time spotting them. The players are really going back and forth, capping the same territories, then losing them, capping them again. And now we start to see some eco buildings. Town, 2 towns, industry. And I wonder if... Did he spot them now? Yeah, he did. But he doesn't spot the SAMs in the mountain. So I don't think he'll get these. No. Definitely won't. But he'll recap this once again. I wonder if Keaton has actually noticed how much trouble he's in back here. Because these are not even... Like, he's just sending them back here. So he might not have noticed the attack from behind. And I almost didn't spot this. Keaton went up to check for a town. And I heard him put down another town? Is that... Where is that? Maybe that wasn't a town. Ah, it was a factory. Once again, my attention to detail. I only played this game for 1,500 hours, so I still don't know the difference of the sounds from a factory and a town. And I don't know how territories look when they're getting capped in the fog, so there you go. Be embarrassed if you lose a game against me, because I still don't understand the game. Now Keaton definitely realizes. He's going all in to kill this. He must have spotted the factory as well. He did. WindKnight is quick to put down some entrenchments. And he should be getting these barracks. This will probably not lead to anything good. Keaton got the momentum here. Losing his helis over here. But also trying to build up a small army to protect against this push. I think that's almost the first artillery that we see from WindKnight. Otherwise it's just been SAMs. Keaton does manage to get this, and he also get this factory, it seems. So that's very good for Keaton. Just want to check if he... Ah, he should get this. Yeah, down it goes. But he's in trouble here. And he's in trouble here? Maybe not so much anymore. Now he can use those helis in a spot with no SAMs. $1,220 for Keaton, 1,500 for WindKnight. But I think Keaton will lose this. Manages to get this barracks. But he's starting to clean out this area. But as mentioned earlier, you will definitely rather have this area than this area. WindKnight building eco down here. Yeah, Keaton is losing this. Trying to send some units up here. And I don't know if this is just some sort of sixth sense or what. But WindKnight is... Well, maybe it's actually... Maybe these will just go down. So the opposite of a sixth sense. Keaton tries to build up his space a bit further back after the loss of this one. Got a nice army going here. And I think he will regain control of this area unless WindKnight heavily invest in it. There's so much going on. And Keaton is even on top of these units, so he targets the building. Didn't just send them up there and forgot about them. I can assure you that a game like this is mentally draining. Being on top of so many front lines. Constantly try to decide where to send units, where to build that proxy barracks, where to attack, how to gain control of an area, how do you push back, how much do you push back. Let's look at the eco again. 1330. 1480. I think Keaton gained a little bit. And I'm not sure what he wants to do with this army, other than maybe cap some stuff up north. But he can easily recap this, because WindKnight is definitely not investing any more into it. And it does give access to a bunch of eco buildings. And now a lot of air from WindKnight, which might be the turning point, because Keaton won't expect it this late in the game, and he won't be prepared, which makes sense. Like, why would he have built up a huge SAM army? It would just have cost him a lot of money, having that standing around doing nothing for the majority of the game. And that's why suddenly late game change your mix up of your attacking force can be really devastating, especially if you like build up the force before you kind of reveal it. Because of course, if there's just coming one heli and Keaton spots this, which he might, yeah, he had the chance at least, then he can start to build up the SAM army in the same pace. But if suddenly 10 helis shows up and you have 0 SAMs, that can really hurt. Keaton turn around his army up here. Let's see how much of it WindKnight can see. You can see all of it. Keaton is losing this front line. And if WindKnight pushes through here, then I think it will mean game over. Then we'll probably see Keaton resign. Could turn these units around. Of course he doesn't know that. It's so easy to say when you got the full view here. But I think he's losing this. Look at these lines from WindKnight. It's so chaotic. He has 3 barracks here he could divert to that front line. He also got a good amount of units here. It's really sending many units down here for a single barracks. And now, unfortunately, his big northern army is just running head into an entrenchment. Keaton got a few SAMs up and running. This might be it. This might be the push that wins the game. $1,500 for Keaton, 1,300 for WindKnight. So Keaton has actually turned around the eco, but he's losing on unit amount, production, whatever. WindKnight at least has that build-up army here that is so tough to handle. And he did divert the unit production from here now. This one as well. He's putting down some production up here. So it all comes down to this front line now. Well, maybe also it will... If Keaton doesn't win this, it might mentally be a bit tough to know that you're losing here and here. And he probably will guess that his opponent has more eco, even though he doesn't. He's putting more production here. So right now Keaton prioritizes to really try to get this base down instead of sending all the units here. Which I guess, which I completely get, but I don't think it will succeed. Cannot break through. And it's not helping him that he has to move over this mountain. But this is a really close game. Keaton manages to clean this up. That's very good for Keaton. But WindKnight has a lot of helis now and he's really producing many helis. But he's in some eco trouble. He can't do anything more right now. He's kind of tied with his hands on his back. He would need to stop some production for a moment at least, because he got a lot of eco that he can build. And this is looking very good for WindKnight. And this is actually also, yeah, I think that that was a WindKnight win. WindKnight win. Yeah, it certainly was. Sometimes I can recall which player I was spectating when I see this. And then recently, again, my attention to detail, I realized that you can actually see like red buildings on fire and then strong blue force here in the background. So yeah, that also just took me 1,000+ games to realize. But look at this close game going on here. Really interesting game. More kind of like an old school game, I feel like, except maybe for the helis instead of strikers. He was really starting to turn it around, Keaton. It must be tough to look at this afterwards. But WindKnight had definitely had the momentum. Can we see the... I mean, is there... No, maybe not. Upkeep, I guess, shows kind of the army size. So that's probably the big issue for Keaton at the last moment. So yeah, well played by both. Fun game to watch. Hope you enjoyed as well and have a nice day, morning, evening, night, wherever, whenever you are. Hope to see you again. Bye.